You are listening to the Glenn Beck Radio Program podcast.
Do you run a small business? Do you want it to grow? Of course you do. Then don't let your business slow down or shut down because you lost your computer files. Get Carbonite and your files will be backed up to the cloud for you, automatically and continually. Plus, Carbonite lets you and your employees be more productive with free mobile apps that let you access, sync, and share your files. And Carbonite knows that in order to grow your business, you have to control costs. So no matter how many computers, servers, or external drives you have, Carbonite has an affordable plan for you. Start a free trial today at Carbonite.com with no credit card required. It really is a free trial. And when you use the offer code THEBLAZE, you'll get 2 free bonus months if you decide to buy. That's Carbonite.com. And the offer code for 2 free bonus months is THEBLAZE. Carbonite.com. Offer code THEBLAZE.
What you're about to hear is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Oh, from the just incredible great city, the best city I could possibly ever imagine, one that I want to work in so badly. New York City.
It's just that they don't want us here.
Yeah,
but
where the garbage is blowing and the streets are piled up in snow and the people's hearts are as warm as the temperature. It is such a great pleasure to be in the great city of New York for not just today, but for the next 2 weeks.
Thank you for rubbing it in.
You are more than welcome. I'm glad I could make that happen for you. Welcome. It is President's Day, which means absolutely nothing is open here in New York. Because who works on President's Day? I mean,
other than everyone, you mean?
We are. What?
Other than everybody?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
No. Not city governments. Not the federal government, not banks, not Wall Street, just the little people that don't matter.
Everybody else.
Yeah, just everybody who has anything to do with anything that's been privatized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And those people don't get it. Here's yet another reason to work for the federal government. You don't have to work on President's Day, where they at home, because they work for the federal government, where they are at home right now studying about Abraham Lincoln, studying about George Washington.
That's what the day's all about.
It is.
And they know that.
Yes.
They know that.
Thank you. I remember in President's Day when I was growing up, we would have cherry pie eating contest and, you'd actually, now it's like President's Day. People, I will tell you that I could go outside here in the city, in the streets of New York, and I could tell you right now, it's President's Day. What do you think about that? I didn't know it was Obama's birthday. They will say that. They will say that. They will think that this is... Do you think it's right that it's President's Day, that we have taken President Obama's birthday off and all the banks are closed? I will bet you 70% of everybody I talk to here in New York. Easy. They have absolutely no idea. No idea what it is. Of course, now I was listening to Doc and Skip on the way in. I'm listening more of Skip than Doc on the Blaze Radio Network, but I'm listening to them, and they had an incredible stat. Is it 1 in 4 or 2 in 4? No, it's 1 in 4 Americans do not know that the sun.
Revolves around the Earth revolves around the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
They have no. One quarter of our population has no idea how the Earth even works.
That's pretty stunning.
But remember, they're the ones that we've got to listen to and get everybody on board to talk about global warming. Now, there's an interesting story here on a physicist. Now, this is the physicist,
the one
here in New York, right?
Yeah, Michio Kaku. He's on Fox all the time.
Right. He said the weather could get even wackier and even colder because of global warming.
I love his explanation.
He says the jet stream and the polar vortex are becoming unstable, and instability of historic proportions. We think it's because of the gradual heating up of the North Pole, and the North Pole is melting.
Mm-hmm.
The excess heat generated by all this warm weather is destabilizing this gigantic bucket of cold air, and that's the irony, that heating could cause gigantic storms of historic proportions.
It's exactly what we joke about all the time. It's so cold because it's so hot.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually making that argument.
You know, I would just really like to. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if we ever got to the point of Noah. We tried to talk about it a couple of shows last week.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
I don't think we did. Where the story is with Noah, the new movie that is coming out. That you might have been, hey, this is going to be exciting. This is going to be neat. Hey, look, they're making a God movie. No. They're making a global warming movie. And Noah is convinced that we're being destroyed, that he's being destroyed because of overpopulation and because we're not taking care of the environment. So that, and I missed that in the scriptures. I missed that in the original Noah story, but it was probably because it was on stone tablets or something, and so they just didn't, it's like, some Hollywood executive, I'm Moses, I can see in the future, some Hollywood executive is going to figure this one out, so I'm just going to leave that part out of the story.
I think that the voice of God is being done by Al Gore. So he says to Noah, Noah, it's because of your SUVs that you're going to have to build an ark.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's
wow.
Yeah,
that is. I don't know if we
a little different twist.
If we disabled all of my toys in here because Hannity was in here. Why are all my toys disabled in here? This is my studio. How come everybody takes things apart? Sure, I'm only in it for about 3 days a year, but it's my studio.
Are you talking about your little God and Satan?
Yes.
Literally, those things sat there completely untouched for, 2 years? And about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they were like, we really need to change these out. Is that possible? I'm like, he hasn't used them in 2 years. Of course, it's fine. Go ahead.
So you make the decisions to take out the buttons that I use.
You don't use.
If I wouldn't have made the decision. No, Stu. If I paid for them. If I care to have them sitting here and I never use them. In perpetuity. Yeah. Right? It's like I'm going to put it in my will that those buttons remain here.
Yeah.
And are to never be touched. And that's my decision.
Well, it was your decision, and you didn't use them for years, so someone else made the decision, namely me. So
you really did make the decision to take
they
them out?
seriously.
Okay, no.
Why'd they have to come out?
There was some reason they needed it for the studio.
You know what? I was going to leave you in Texas. You're getting tomorrow, today or tomorrow. No, you're getting on a plane. You're coming here. Now you want to mess with my button? You want to mess with my button some more? You're leaving Texas today or tomorrow, whenever I can get you on a plane, and you're coming here.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Why am I being punished? I was trying to help the company.
And so am I. Welcome to New York.
Thanks.
Here.
Can't wait to get there.
Yeah, you're going to love it.
Beautiful
you're going to love it. And I'm going to put you up at the nicest hotel.
Remember that one we stayed at a couple of times ago?
That's nice.
The knife I'm in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was good.
It was right by a crack house.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Well, they didn't have place at the crack house, so it was down from the crack house.
Just
it was
slightly.
The knife I'm in. And
it was down the block, but it did feature free delivery. So that was nice.
No, it's really nice, but
very nice.
Yeah. So anyway, the Moses or the Noah movie has Noah building an ark because of climate change and because of everything is now. Where are the SUVs? Where were the SUVs then? Hollywood, think this one through. I love the fact that we are headed towards, John Kerry. Do you have him on tape saying this?
No, it's printed.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Printed.
John Kerry said global warming is as big of a threat as terrorism. What?
And he blamed every storm on global warming that we've had, in the last year or two.
Well, of course.
And he blamed the volcano. Now, how are volcanoes happening because of global warming?
You don't understand that?
I don't understand that.
Okay. The crust of the earth is so cold right now because the air is so hot that when the crust of the earth gets so cold, it becomes, you know how you put ice in water and it cracks?
Yeah.
There you go.
But
Really?
my impression was that,
Is that true?
Under the earth.
What? Listen to you. Is that true?
I thought
course
under
it
the
is.
surface of the earth it was several million degrees, though. I thought it wasn't cold.
No, but it is. No, Stu, please. Of course, just under the surface of the earth, it's several
million degrees.
No, you didn't say it right.
It's several million degrees.
Okay, you gotta have to have a little bit of a
little laugh.
million degrees right underneath. However, what did I
laugh.
just say? It's because the surface of the earth is so cold. It's like when you take ice and you drop it into water and it cracks. The inside of the volcano, it just cracked. And it's got all that bubbling pus. I don't know what it's technically called, but all that
hot
hot pus that just shoots out of the top of the volcano.
It's like a hot pocket.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
It is. And it's, quite honestly, it is like it's like those Holocaust deniers just took a bite out of the earth, and all that hot pocket pus just comes right out.
It makes sense when you think about it, Stu.
Really?
Yeah, think about it for a minute. No, it makes total sense.
I've really been thinking
you just
about it.
You haven't spent enough time yet to think. Think about it. Think it through.
Oh, okay.
Don't speak rashly here and make a fool out of yourself.
Please don't do that.
Good
Hey,
golly.
can I tell you something else? And I'm really sad. Do we have any sad music, Pat?
I think we do.
We need some sad music because this is really... I don't even know where to begin on this. You know how much I love George Soros, right?
Oh my gosh! Yes.
We're like, soap opera actress punches ex-boyfriend George Soros in the face. That's That's the headline. An angry Brazilian soap opera actress literally punched her ex-boyfriend George Soros in the head during a deposition. As stated in testimony from Soros' lawyer, the punch fest took place last week during a private deposition for the multi-million-dollar lawsuit that she filed against Soros. She's 30. He's, of course, 83. But they dated a long time.
Long time.
I mean, do you remember when he was
love.
only 80 and she was 27?
Oh, it was beautiful then.
Oh,
it was beautiful.
And they would frolic in the park and on the beach.
He'd be there with his walker, and
It was so great.
he'd almost skip.
So, well, no, it was more of a falling kind of shuffling skip. But
you'd like to think of it as a skip.
in the middle of the Soros 2-hour-long deposition, her lawyer stormed into the room with a videographer. She came in. She said, "I'm filming, and then I'm calling CNN," she insisted in a loud voice. Now, I want her to know, please don't call CNN. I will play this video all day long. I mean,
No
I don't
kidding.
care if we have to cancel all the commercials. It'll be a 24-hour loop. We'll just play him getting hit in the head by you over and over and over again. Why call somebody who's still under the evil emperor's thumb when you can call me? Because when he's sad, I'm sad.
Really? I didn't think that was where you were going with that, but
No,
okay.
it's what it would.
All right.
It would not be Christ-like
No, it
of
wouldn't.
me to
no,
be,
it wouldn't. So I'm very proud that you
happy or gleeful,
right
or like
celebratory.
Like when I first read this. Can you imagine if I would have been on the plane when I first read this, surrounded by you and everybody else, and I would have went, "Listen to this." That would have been wrong, Pat. And I don't.
It would have.
I don't even appreciate the insinuation. When he's sad, I'm sad. And by the way, joining us at 5 o'clock tonight,
And maybe even George himself.
We're not sure about George.
We're not sure.
We're not sure about George, but we know his girlfriend is going to be with us. And she apparently can tell us all kinds of things of what it was like to kiss him, when they would cuddle.
And what it was like to cuddle with him, late at night as they maybe shared. I mean, I don't even like to think about it, but I'm sure she doesn't either.
Well, we'll find out tonight.
Yeah.
And it'll be sad, I'm sure.
Yes, it will.
Also on tonight's program, the first time, remember the little girl from Hartford that was taken up to Boston Children's Hospital, and Boston's Children's Hospital took her away from the dad. It's now been from mom and dad, and it's now been over a year, and they can't get any justice, and there's a gag order, and they haven't been able to talk, and they now believe that the hospital is killing her, and they're not going to have a little girl left if people don't listen to the plea of the parents and get involved and help them. And so for the first time, they are speaking out tonight at 5 o'clock on a show you don't want to miss, and it will be on the Blaze TV. And
it's imperative that this works. It's absolutely.
It really is.
It's crucial.
It really is.
That this gets people outraged enough to where this hospital lets her go.
So we're going to have it on TV tonight, and then we will also play some of the audio from it, and we'll, of course, post the interview on the Blaze TV. But we want you to watch it so you're really up and informed on this story, and then help us get the word out, because this is really kind of the last shot. And I think this family is extraordinarily brave, really, really brave to do what they're doing. We'll tell you more tomorrow or tonight at 5 o'clock.
The Glenn Beck Program.
Again broadcasting from
The Blaze Radio Network.
Do you run a small business? Do you want it to grow? Of course you do. Then don't let your business slow down or shut down because you lost your computer files. Get Carbonite and your files will be backed up to the cloud for you, automatically and continually. Plus, Carbonite lets you and your employees be more productive with free mobile apps that let you access, sync, and share your files. And Carbonite knows that in order to grow your business, you have to control costs. So no matter how many computers, servers, or external drives you have, Carbonite has an affordable plan for you. Start a free trial today at Carbonite.com with no credit card required. It really is a free trial. And when you use the offer code THEBLAZE, you'll get 2 free bonus months if you decide to buy. That's Carbonite.com. And the offer code for 2 free bonus months is THEBLAZE. Carbonite.com. Offer code THEBLAZE.
The Glenn Beck Program.
All right, so we'll finish up this global warming. It is so hot, it's cold, and the cold is causing the hot. It's funny they never said any of this stuff before it started. And it'd be one thing if you told us the world was going to get really super cold because of the hotness, but what you said was it's going to get super hot. And now that it's super cold, you're claiming like, yep, that proves it. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. But let's finish this global warming segment with the one, the only, Bob Schieffer.
This just shows the unbelievable talking point that's going on right now. Bob Schieffer was interviewing yesterday the governor of North Carolina, Pat McCrory, who once said that, it's in God's hands. Climate change is in God's hands because the climate changes. So here's Schieffer now because we've had a storm in the winter, asking him.
But we did have too many people get on the street too late in response to the storm.
Governor, a couple of years ago, you made a remark that caught a lot of people's attention. You said that global warming is in God's hands. After going through this thing, you still feel that way? And
winter.
Is there something we ought to be doing about it in the meantime?
Yes, we need to
I
stop
think someone took a chopped off the total sentence there, but I will say this, that
back off.
I feel there's always been climate change. The debate is really how much of it is man-made and how much will it cost to have any impact on climate change. My main argument is let's clean up the environment. And as a mayor and now as a governor, I'm spending my time cleaning our air, cleaning our water, and cleaning the ground.
Totally logical.
Completely
totally logical.
And
totally logical. Everybody I know that is against global warming, every single one is like, why don't we just continue to clean the air and clean the water and make sure? I mean, I was driving this truck, which is, my wife gave me. It's 1958, which I have a wild observation on this truck and men and women relationships that I learned this weekend from driving it. But I'm driving this thing, and it is not, it's not as clean as everything else now. And I turn that truck on, I get out, and it's not blowing smoke or anything. It's just not as efficient as engines are now. And I thought to myself, look at how clean things are now compared to where they were.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is just continue to make progress. Progressive. Just continue to make progress going down that road. And let's just take care of our planet. What is this nonsense of, I've got to make money off of polluters? No. Just let's do the right thing for the planet and keep the planet clean.
And storms? It's called winter, Bob.
No.
Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network. On air, online, in your pocket. Find out all the ways to listen at theblaze.com/radio.
I'll tell you the story of Abraham Lincoln, seeing it is President's Day. I was in the Smithsonian about a year ago, and I go in and I meet the curator of the American History Museum, and he takes me back and he said, I want to just show you some of the things, Glenn, that not everybody gets to see. And I saw the christening blanket from George Washington. It's beautiful. Saw a banner that was used by Thomas Jefferson for his election, and actually during his inauguration. And in the beak of the eagle came this scroll that just had some, I don't remember what it was, but it was like, that bastard Adams is out. It was just some crazy, awful thing that was, part of the official banners at the inauguration. And I said, so what is your favorite thing here? And he said, well, it's not the most fancy. He said, my favorite thing is this. And he walks over, and it was just a chunk of metal, black chunk of metal as I'm walking toward it. And then as I get closer to it, I realize it's an axe head. And he said, this is the head of the axe of Abraham Lincoln's axe. And I looked at him and I didn't say anything. And he said, I know what you're thinking. And I said, what am I thinking? And he said, how do we know it's Abraham Lincoln's axe head? And I said, well, you are also a mind reader. And he said, because of this. And he turns it over, and it has a stamp on it. It says A.L. And I said, well, it couldn't mean also lucky or, Albert Leary. He said, let me tell you the story of the axe. He said, Abraham Lincoln was a guy that was always helping neighbors. And back in the old days, when a neighbor's house needed to be built or a barn needed to be built, everybody got together and they all helped. And Abraham Lincoln was good and powerful at swinging an axe, and they were building a log cabin at a neighbor's house. And about halfway through, before they had the floorboards down, Abraham Lincoln took and he swung his axe back, and he did it with such force that the head of the axe flew off. And they looked and looked and looked and couldn't find it. He said, well, around the turn of the century, the people who owned that log cabin, who now was a little girl who was growing older, she was getting rid of the cabin, and they were tearing it down. And how you didn't have the Government Historic Society step in right away to stop them from tearing down that house is beyond me, but that's a different story. So they were going to tear down the house, and they were tearing it down, and as they're taking it apart, there under the floorboards was this chunk of metal. And she said, my gosh, I remember when Abraham Lincoln, I was a little girl, and he lost his axe head. There it is. But they needed verification. So they went to the blacksmith that forged it. The blacksmith had long been dead. But the guy who was the apprentice and a young kid at the time, when he saw it, he burst into tears and he said, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this since the day it was forged. He said, will you verify that this is Abraham Lincoln's axe? He said, I remember it clearly. Mr. Lincoln came in and he said to the blacksmith, I need an axe. I need the best that you can make. And I want you to put on the blade Abraham Lincoln. Stamp it in, Abraham Lincoln. And the blacksmith looked at Abraham Lincoln, and all he said was, I'm sorry, Mr. Lincoln, but I ain't no scholar. Meaning, I can't read or write. Lincoln said nothing, but said, I understand. May I use your tools? And he picked up A.L., and he pounded those initials in himself. That's how we know it's Abraham Lincoln's axe head. Here we are on President's Day, and nobody appreciates the presidents anymore. Well, for the last year or so, and actually one of the things we've been working on for almost 2 years, we have decided at 1791 that the thing that we want to do is everything that we make has to be of real high quality, and it also has to tell the story of something. And so today we're announcing 2 new products that, are not necessarily something of high use, but they will teach your children. I have an axe at home because I need an axe if you live anywhere besides the city, or quite honestly, here in New York City, you might need an axe, but we've decided to make an axe, and when we went to make it, we went to the people who I think make the best axes all here in America. It's Council Tool, and they've been making tools for a long, long time, and they make them here in America. And we asked them, could you stamp AL into the axe head? So every time you go out and you have to use this axe with your kids, you'll be able to tell them. Because I think that life is hard enough. And every time you take a swing, I want you to think about Abraham Lincoln. Life is tough enough. And you've got to swing hard. But the worst thing that can happen is for you to lose your head. The new Abraham Lincoln axe, available at $17.91, launched today on President's Day. And the other is something that I have begged my wife for about 3 years to make for me. And she makes quilts, but she can't just make them up. She needs a kit. And there was no kit. And what I wanted was a quilt of George Washington's positioning flag. It's a blue and white flag with 13 stars on it. They're 6-pointed stars, and they're all different. And he made that flag up, and it was wherever he was, he would fly that flag. And so we fly it at our house. And everybody always says, what is that? And it's great because it gives me the opportunity to say, that's George Washington. And wherever that is flown, now that he's gone, his spirit is. And we tried to keep his spirit alive. Well, I wanted a quilt made for me because we're into quilts in our family. And I wanted a quilt. I wanted my wife to make it, but she didn't know how to, she couldn't do it from scratch. She needed a kit. So I think it was last summer, maybe the summer before last, we're up in the mountains of Idaho. And we're going into this little teeny town, just this great town. And here's this little quilt shop. And my wife says, oh, can we stop? She's always stopping at the quilt shop. Can we stop at the quilt shop? And I'm like, oh, no, are you kidding me? Yeah. And so we go in and we're there. And she starts looking for stuff. And I start talking to the ladies behind the counter. And they are historians. One of them actually collects old historic American quilts. And so I start telling them about this quilt that I want my wife to make. And I said, but I don't have a pattern. And she said, well, we can make the pattern for you. What do you want it to look like? So they made it. And I think they're I don't even know if they're available, but there might be a couple that are available. That we're going to make a few of them ourselves and finish them in case your wife doesn't make quilts or you don't make quilts. But it is a quilt that is George Washington's battle flag, positioning flag. They made these patterns for us, and you get absolutely everything. And what we tried to do is go the extra mile. And when you open up the box when it comes, it has the instructions. Usually the instructions are just on a white piece of paper, but what we've done is we have put them on this really cool, like yellow parchment, huge parchment, that kind of tells the story about George Washington and kind of tells what the meaning of this flag is. So as you're making it, you can start to teach your kids about George Washington. And on the back of it is the map of Valley Forge. And right now, I think I signed 20 of these myself. They're, I don't know, $100 or something. But you get absolutely everything for the quilt to be made for you. And they're like $100. They come in really, really nice. And I signed 25 of them or whatever. And so if you would order today, you would probably get one of them that is signed. But I don't know if you have any interest in these at all. They're two things that I wanted for my family. If they interest you for yours, I'm trying to, and as you will see, things that you don't have to buy in the coming year or so. You will see that we are going to try to make things for your family that don't cost you anything, that help you teach your children all about the founders and the history of America, because there's too much of our history that has just been erased and gone. You can find these and also some videos about them at 1791.com or glennbeck.com, whichever you prefer. 1791.com.
Glenn Beck. The Blaze Radio Network. Glenn Beck.
Don't miss a morsel of truth. Sign up for the free newsletter at glennbeck.com.
This really hacks me off. From CBS News, Dayline, New York, writer Jen Singer, the mother of two teenage boys, wrestles with her grocery list every week to keep the household budget from getting away from her. I'd like the government to stop by my house, come food shopping with me, and see where the real costs are. The adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, is impossible thanks to apple prices, she said. We go through one of these every few days, she said, holding a loaf of bread. It's a big part of my take-home pay now. It's not hard for her to imagine. While the government says prices are up 6.4% since 2011, chicken is up 18%, ground beef 16%, bacon is up 22%, making it a holiday when it's on sale. Now think of this. It has been up since 2011. When do we leave, Fox? Did I not? I mean, were we not talking about this? And did we not say that people, that people would not be able to soon afford food, and your crunch would, well, we'll be talking about universal food soon. The things are going up in price, and they're all the things I absolutely need to buy. It's the meat, it's the milk, it's the eggs that are getting out of hand. Food inflation is far greater than the government thinks it is. You think? Why do you think they're doing that? They think that they can manipulate the numbers, and that's what they've been doing, to hide inflation, because they want to say, oh, inflation's not a problem. Well, it's not a problem in some places. It's not a problem with your house. It's not a problem with anything that the bank controls. But everything that you need, it is a problem. Now, let's think about that. Why do you suppose that is? Do you think they actually care about you or the bank? They care about the bank. They care about their jobs. They care about the things the government cares about. And if inflation is going up and they show that, then they have to take care of all of their other obligations that they've already promised the poor. They've already promised the elderly. They have to go up. And so they have to keep those prices down. It's obscene.
It's interesting because we're in New York for a couple of weeks. And yesterday I was just switching through the channels looking for the Olympics, actually. And C-SPAN 2 was showing a conference, some socialist conference. And guess who was speaking? Frances Fox Piven.
Oh, you've got to be.
And she was talking about universal food and universal
it's
income.
Going to come. Okay, try this on for size.
They're really pushing hard for this.
Oh, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Forbes magazine says 70% of American families are now receiving more from the government than they are paying in. 70% now of Americans' families.
Wow.
There's not enough money. There's not enough money. Those making $100,000 and up, a group that constitutes 45% of the region's population, saw their incomes rise last year, but incomes fell for those making less than that. Is tech to blame? Listen to this. Is the economy, or is technology destroying jobs faster than it creates them? This is a fascinating argument and a fascinating look at what is to come if the Fed and the government doesn't get out of the way and stop manipulating things. Believe it or not, this article claims 60% unemployment. 60% unemployment is a reality soon if we don't pay attention. I'll give you the full story when we come back.
The Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network. What you're about to hear is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
I want to give you a glimpse of what is to come, and I want you to know it's not just Glenn Beck saying, here's what's coming, because I said this a while back. Remember I said we are entering a time that is as powerful as the Industrial Revolution, except it's going to be in a very short period of time. Where the Industrial Revolution really took us 100 years to get through, this will be the next 10. And then it's just not going to ever slow down. It's just going to churn and churn and churn and churn and churn. Okay. So there's an article that came out, VCs on inequality, unemployment, and our uncertain future. And the question is tech to blame? I contend, no, it's not tech. It is the government and the Federal Reserve. And I want you to listen to this argument. Technology, is it destroying jobs faster than it can create them? A couple of years ago, that view was often dismissed offhand with a little contemptuous muttering about buggy whips. I remember because that's what I was saying, and everybody said, "Oh, he's a neophyte, and he doesn't like technology, and he's an anti-progressive." No, I just want you to understand what's coming. More change is coming in the next 10 years than you've seen in your entire lifetime. Understand that. Let me say it again. I'm 50 years old. More change is coming in the next 10 years than you have seen in your entire lifetime. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 10 or you're 70. The next 10 years will rock your world. Nowadays, that point of view is being taken extremely serious by The Economist, The New York Times, and The Financial Post. Okay. It would be nice if people would recognize the people who are on the edge of thought, and so you could go back and say, okay, was anybody saying these things, and what do they say is going to happen next? Because by the time 10 years is a long time. 5 years is a long time. In the future, 5 years will be almost a lifetime of change. So as these things accelerate, you better be listening to the right people because you won't have 5 years of being listening to people who are wrong. Brace yourself. There's a lot to chew on. Steve Jurvetson, he sits on the boards of Tesla and SpaceX. So this guy's not a slouch. He's managing director of Draper Fisher Jurvetson, which just raised $325 million for its 11-day early-stage fund. He's been pondering the accelerating divide between the rich and the poor for some time, as per his solve for X Talk from last year. He writes, listen, quote, technological disruption seems to be accelerating, and we think it is due to a secular confluence of advances in technology and development platforms, which leads to more unemployment in the short term. The problem is the Federal Reserve's response is to cut interest rates to zero, which make capital even cheaper versus labor. This pulls forward investment in technology and displaces labor and accelerates disruption, thus more unemployment into a vicious feedback loop. The Fed seemed to have created half the problem here, but it can no longer see that raising interest rates would slow down the rate at which jobs are being replaced. I'm concerned that if robotic technology gets cheap enough, we reach a tipping point where too many industries are disrupted at the same time, leading to a massive unemployment problem, too long to retain people. Theoretically, by extrapolating the trend, we might hit a 60% unemployment rate. Now, listen, this is key. But understand that's impossible, and the impossible does not happen. Something will break before then. In other words, you have a 25% or 30% unemployment rate. Somebody burns the world down. We're not going to hit a 60%. Because by that time, the system is so broken that everything has to be redone. So that doesn't make me feel happier. Something will break. But this is like, listen to this. This is something like a new industrial revolution. And though we know the outcome of that, which most would say was good, it was rough getting there. There are many dystopian outcomes that you can see here. But I want to remain hopeful. This is the guy from SpaceX. This is the guy from Tesla. This isn't some crazy... You remember what we had the guy on last week who said, I was an optimist 5 years ago. I was called Pollyanna. I'm telling you, no way out. Now you've got the venture cap. Now this is a guy who his job is to raise money for technology. And he is saying, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is not going to end well. This is why it is imperative. It's just imperative that we're good to each other. that we start to do the things that are real and that are right. I saw a movie this weekend. I saw oh shoot, what was the name of it? Pat, do you remember what I saw?
Winter's Tale.
I saw
right?
Winter's Tale. Yeah, saw Winter's Tale, and I have to tell you, I'm not going to give you my opinion because I want everybody. I want everybody in my office to see Winter's Tale and the Lego Movie. Both radically different, both cutting edge, a different experience than anything I've seen. And I don't want to taint with my opinion on Lego. I've already said I absolutely love it. Winter's Tale is one that you will either love or hate, but it's a story that is worth seeing. Even if you hate it, it's worth seeing because it's doing something incredibly different. And I don't want to get into it any more than that. It's talking about what's really important. What is important? Is stuff important? And it's doing it in a different way. It is showing the battle between good and evil. And evil, I mean, it's weird. Will Smith plays Satan. And what's his name? He was in Gladiator, famous.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe plays his main, minion. And it is a different. It's very different. What is important in life? And I think that's also the message of the Lego Movie. And I don't think Winter's Tale will be, will make the money that the Lego Movie did, because you just have to see it yourself. But Lego Movie, that is the message of the Lego Movie as well. And it is wrapped. A lot of people will have a problem when you first go to see it. You'll say, well, it's anti-business. The bad guy's big business. Really? Is Lego really preaching to me about how bad big business is? No. This is a brilliant movie. We just launched today on 1791 because it's President's Day. So we launched a quilt that I don't know how many people need quilts, but a lot of people make quilts. And so we made a quilt kit that is George Washington's positioning flag. And it's absolutely beautiful. And you can make it and you can order the kit. And we tried to price it right with the price of other kits, so it didn't cost you any more. But to be able to teach history. Now, I don't know if you need that or not. Nobody really needs that. If you want that, it's available. Why did I do that? Same thing with the axe. We just released, because I went to the Smithsonian and I saw Abraham Lincoln's axe. And I just wanted to touch it. They wouldn't let me, but I just wanted to touch it. I was like, that's something that Abraham Lincoln had. Now, how can I, if I have to have an axe and I go out and I chop wood, and I have an axe, I go out and chop wood, what am I using? Can I just use any axe? Yep. But I can use a council axes, which probably I would buy because it's one of the best axes made in America. But this one was made with AL stamped into the head, just like Abraham Lincoln's axe. So I'm learning something. I'm teaching something. I have conversations with my kids. The thing that is going to be really critically important is values and principles and knowing who you are and knowing where you came from and knowing that you are capable and powerful and born for a reason, because everything is going to turn upside down. I've told you this for years. It's going to turn upside down, much more so than it already is. Woo! Let me just give you this one. Within 10 years, I think it's closer to 5, you will look back on these days and you will think these days were the good old days. These days made sense. That's how much the world's going to turn upside down. So what do you do to prepare? Well, almost everything that I've learned here in the last year, I've learned because I've rooted myself back into things that were real. And I've rooted myself back into, quite honestly, a farm. I grew up on a farm with my grandfather in the summers and bakery in the winter with my dad. But almost everything that I learned from the farm with my grandfather and watching him work. Now that I'm older, I realize there's a lot that I've missed of being away from a farm. The reason why we're so unplugged as a people is because we no longer understand the farmer. If you don't understand the farmer, you don't understand even the basic things in life that we have said. You reap what you sow. What does that even mean? We don't teach our kids what it means to sow. How do they understand that phrase? We work hard. We care for our families. We look after our neighbors. We do what we know is best. We admit when we're wrong. We say we're sorry, and we mean it. That's what a farmer does. That's the way you have to live your life, because you're always living your life on the edge. We believe in life, every life. We believe in liberty, the ability to live our lives as we choose and own the consequences. I just saw a preacher over the weekend from Bellingham. My sister sent me, and he was just, own it. That's what he was talking about. Own it. Whatever's going on in your life, own it. It's true. Life's not guaranteed. Life is what you make of it. And we know that happiness is not defined by things. Happiness comes from within. No one can give it to you, but that's the best thing. No one can make you happy. Nothing can make you happy. Well, if that is true, that happiness comes from within, that's the best news you probably have in the rest of your life. If you could just marry that one thing, that is probably the best news you'll have in your entire life. Because what does that imply? Happiness comes from within. No one thing or any group of things can make you happy. No job, no person can make you happy. If that is true, it can never be taken from you. It can never be lost because it comes from within you. So happiness is only dependent on you and your state of mind. And it can only be taken from you if you give permission. The same thing with who you are. Who are you, really? You know, I woke up yesterday and I looked at my iPad, and my iPad, for the first time, it's the first anthropomorphic thing I've ever seen my computer do. It said, "Your day looks very busy tomorrow. Anything I can do to help?" My calendar said that? What? While we are making people less human, we're making machines more human. While we are not recognizing real life, we're creating artificial life. How did we ever become farmers in the first place? Because that's how God made us. Farmers. God made us in his likeness to plant the field, tend the crops, harvest what we sow. If you're a waitress, you're still a farmer. Salesperson, you're a farmer. Mechanic, farmer. If you're a mother, be a farmer. Father, you're a farmer. Friend, farmer. No matter what you are or what you do, no matter where you are, you're a farmer. Because you will reap what you sow. Because that's the way it works. No matter what. You do plant a field. You do have to tend to your crops. The harvest of life comes from what you sow. And you will have to harvest the life that you built. We're all better because God made you, God made me, God made Michael Moore. We're all better because of that. We're all unique. And we're all here for a reason. Next time somebody says, "Why do you do what you, because that's the way I was made." Why do you like it that way? Because that's the way I was made. I'm different. You're different. It's good. The rain has started. The rain is coming down. The storms, clouds are gathering, and it is going to get darker. And here's the amazing thing. I've prayed more for my crops than I have for my business because I can do everything right. Absolutely everything right. But I am dependent on rain, but not too much. On heat, but not too much. I'm dependent. I am in partnership. If I'm a farmer, I'm in partnership with God every step of the way because I can't do it. I can only do my part. But we think, because we live in cities, we think that we're not really in partnership. Well, we'll do it. I think one of the biggest problems that New York City has, you can't see the stars at night. And you don't ever realize how insignificant and small you are compared to the universe. Life is hard. Life will not be without pain. It won't be without fear. And there's rain coming. But give thanks for that, because for us to really grow our crops, we need rain. Bring it on. We have all that we need. We're prepared. We're ready. And together, we will harvest this field.
Glenn Beck.
The Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Oh, boy. You religious rube, you, Pat. Yeah. New scientist now, a college professor is hitting back at the Old Testament.
Is he?
Yeah, he's got a new study out that shows that camels weren't around in the Middle East at the time of the Bible, so the whole thing is fake.
Whole thing shot?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and he's a college professor.
Oh, well, he knows that, right?
Yes, he does.
No camels, no Bible.
Throw your Bible away.
The Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network.
You're listening to the Glenn Beck Program.
You know, I'm so sick of the Olympic coverage on NBC between the holding up of a dictator, Putin, the extolling of the idea of communism, or just the insipid interviews. Hey, you just lost.
How's that feel? I know you spent the last 4 years working your ass off trying to get here, and now you're 36 years old. You're too old to probably ever do this again. How do you feel right now being 4/100ths of a second behind a medal winner? This is the kind of stuff they're doing.
And you're watching that. And can I ask a question? Is anybody at home saying, I wonder how he feels?
No.
Everybody is saying
Everybody
the same
knows.
thing. Oh, he's got to feel like crap, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really a... So instead of just being human and saying, you know, that I think this is the biggest thing. Can we just be human? Can we just try to be human beings again? Can we just try? Here's an idea. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but here's a crazy idea. What do you say we say what we mean and mean what we say? What do you say we try to see people for what's happening in their life? Let's just try to be there for each other. Wouldn't it be much better if NBC was like, you know what? You were 0.4 of a second. What happened? What happened? That's enough. That's enough. Well, you know what? Your career has been incredible and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there's another 4 years down the road. What did you learn from this one? What do you take from this? Not, how do you feel? How do you feel?
Pretty obvious.
Now this is just on, you're 0.4 of a second out of a medal finish. But that's nothing. Nothing like what they did to Bodie Miller. Bodie Miller just lost his brother in the last year. So a little fresh.
Yeah.
And it's like, first Christmas that you lost a loved one, pretty hard, right? First birthday. You look at these things that are important and you're thinking about them, especially in the first year. So here he is going in and he's competing at the Olympics.
And keep in mind, he was the favorite in the downhill. He finished 8th, I think. He was one of the favorites in the super combined. He finished 6th. So he's already 2 out of 3 races. He failed.
And he's also 36 years old. So
yeah.
he's the oldest athlete.
This is it.
This is it for him.
He knows it. Everybody knows it. He's not going to race at 40. And now he's just won the bronze in the Super G.
So now listen to this interview.
And Bodie, such an extraordinary accomplishment at your age after a turbulent year, coming back from knee surgery to get this medal today. Put it in perspective for us. How much does it mean to you?
I mean, it's incredible. I always feel like I'm capable of winning medals, but as you've seen this Olympics, it's not that easy. To be on the podium, it was a really big day for me, and I kind of emotionally I had a lot riding on it. I'm really, even though I didn't really ski my best, a lot of mistakes, I'm just super, super happy.
And Bodie, for a guy who said the medals don't really matter, they aren't the thing, you've amassed quite a collection. What does this one mean to you in terms of all the others?
This was a little different. I think, my brother passing away, I really wanted to come back here and race, the way he sensed it. So this was a little different.
Bodie, you're showing so much emotion down here. What's going through your mind?
Hey, he just told you.
Stop.
Now the tears are starting to come.
Here's what it is. Do you remember when I was at CNN and Paula Zahn was doing an interview with me? Do you remember this? And she just didn't care about a thing I was saying. Not a thing I was saying. And it was, I don't remember, it was talking about, alcoholism or something else. It was maybe during the Anna Nicole Smith thing when she died. I don't remember what the topic was, but she didn't care at all. And I remember thinking to myself, this woman is such a fraud. She's not even listening to me. She's got her own questions or the questions that are currently being fed to her in her ear. She doesn't care. She's acting like she cares, but she doesn't care. And so I'm thinking of this while I'm answering. And then she asked me a question about something. And I said, you know what? Listen, I'm a guy who screwed up my life, and I got emotional. All of a sudden, every light went on in her. And she was like, uh-oh. And she wasn't thinking anything about good television. Okay, hang on just a second. I'm suddenly interested. I think I can make him cry. This is before anybody thought that was hard to do. Do you remember that, Stu?
Yeah, I do. And I think your assessment seemed, at least from our perspective, to be accurate. I mean, she did not. Look, a lot of people don't care about what you say.
I know. No,
bash her on that one.
But she didn't care, and she didn't even care about the emotions that I was feeling. But she all of a sudden feigned this. It must have been so hard. I'm sorry, I wasn't really even listening to what you were saying, so I don't know what you're crying about, but tell me a little bit more about it. And that's exactly what happened here.
That's exactly
what. She sees that he's emotional.
She's moving in for the kill.
And she's moving in for the kill. Great television. Close up. Bring it close up. Bring it a little closer.
And they are close. And he's starting to well up here.
A lot, obviously. Just a long struggle coming in here. And just a tough year.
Okay, stop. Stop. What you missed also, maybe, unless you know these weasels like I do, what you missed was she asked him, what are you feeling? That was the first one. What are you feeling? Then she said, it's been a turbulent year. She knows. Mm-hmm. She knows.
She knows his brother died.
Right.
She knows he's had knee surgery.
Right.
She knows he failed the first 2 attempts
Correct.
here.
And she brings that up. Mm-hmm. And then if she doesn't bring up his brother, and he says, so what do you feel? She says, what are you feeling out there? And he says, then she goes on and she says, same question. Notice it's the same question. You know what? You're a guy who says these medals don't mean anything, but you've amassed a lot of them. what does this one in particular mean? What she's saying is you didn't go deep enough. I'm asking about your brother, but I'm not really asking about your brother. Mm-hmm. Soon as he says, well, my brother died, she now is open. Now it's like I can ask any question about the brother. He brought it up. I'm just following, Your Honor, I'm just following up what the witnesses just said.
Oh, yeah.
It's a follow-up question. Go ahead.
I know you wanted to be here with Chile really experiencing these games, and how much does it mean to you to come up with a great performance for him, and was it for him?
I mean, I don't know if it's really for him, but I wanted to come here and I don't know, I guess make myself proud, but
when you're looking up in the sky at the start, we see you there, and it just looks like you're talking to somebody. What's going on there?
He's bent over now, sobbing. Bent over, sobbing. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. No wonder people are pissed about
the
this.
loss of his brother.
And look, it takes Matt Lauer. Is it Matt Lauer or was that Bob Costas?
No, it's not
to break in.
Seizure last April. That emotion that he has been carrying.
She doesn't even stop it.
No,
She's just like, I'll let her roll. Let her roll. I'm not going to wreck this moment. And then Bob Costas, like a golf announcer, comes in. What you're seeing here is somebody bent over and they're crying. And this is good television. We're just going to keep. We're not going to give the man any kind of privacy.
I think
here
that's
at
Jim
all.
Nance. Is it? No, it can't be Nancy. CBS. It's. I'm not sure who that was, but it's not Costas because he's not back.
It would
till
be
tonight.
Matt Lauer because Matt Lauer flew in to take over
Might be Lauer.
from Pink Eye.
But that's inexcusable. That is really.
They don't care.
He was.
He's bent over sobbing.
They don't care.
Kind of gave her the benefit of the doubt on it too. On Twitter, it looks like he tweets, "I appreciate everyone sticking up for me. Please be gentle with Kristen Cooper. It was crazy emotional and not her fault. My emotions were very raw. She asked the questions that every interviewer would have. Pushing is part of it, and she wasn't trying to cause pain." Then he retweeted someone who said, I agree with what you just said. It wasn't her fault. It was the fault of the NBC Olympics producers. She was being told what to ask. And he retweeted that, indicating that he may agree with it. But yeah,
what did I just tell you? What did I just tell you about Paula Zahn?
Yeah, they're saying it to her in her ear. Push him.
And
push him
I'm telling you. I am telling you.
Get the emotion. We need that.
Telling you.
Ratings are down. We need Americans aren't winning. We've got to get that emotion.
Gotta have it. Pull in. And I haven't seen this video, but did they not, once he started to tear up, did they not zoom right in?
Right on him. Yeah. Like that shot.
Yeah.
That's
Zoom in. Yeah. Get that. And what did you get out of it? What did you get out of that? We're watching people's pain.
There he is, just bent over.
For what?
Suffering.
For what? What did we get out of it? Entertainment. That's it. That's it. You didn't learn anything from it. You didn't gain anything from it. You were entertained for a while. Did that strike you as wrong? There's going to be a guy on television today that I think is going to be very, very emotional. I don't know. I would imagine he could be, I don't know how he's going to go. He's the father of that 15-year-old girl that has been in the hospital up at Boston Children's Hospital for a year now. He won't keep his peace anymore. He's like, I have a right as a father to speak out. They're killing my daughter. I have a right to speak out. And he said, if people don't pay attention, if he doesn't get the word out, if he doesn't speak out, then he's going to be responsible for letting his daughter die because they're killing her. And he's like, I need help. I need people's help. Now he's going to be emotional. What do you get out of that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a life at the end of it. I'm tired of being played by everything. Aren't you? Aren't you tired of being played by everything? That it's just manipulative? And nobody's clear about their intent. Oh, no, we're purists. We made this for, excuse me. You know who's clear about their intent? Mark Burnett. Mark Burnett's very clear about his intent. Go see Son of God. You know why? Because I believe Jesus is the Lord, Savior of the universe, redemption, all that. I believe it. That's it. That's why I made it. That's clear. That's clear. Noah. Why are they making the Noah movie? They're making the Noah movie to preach to you about overpopulation and global warming. And they are cloaking it in a vehicle that you're hungry for. You want to see the Noah movie? I want to see that. That looks great. You'll get there. No, they're not being honest with you. They're cloaking their agenda in something else. They're playing you. Man, I'm tired of being played. Just tired of being played. But NBC is going to be playing people again because that's what NBC does best. They'll be playing people again tonight.
Oh, here I am. Hello, America.
The Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network.
Glenn Beck.
Let me go to Gina in Ohio. Hello, Gina. You're on the Glenn Beck program.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I took a quiz on Facebook about which president I would be. Took it 4 times. Every time it came up that I was Barack Obama, whether I strongly agreed with every question or strongly disagreed with every question.
You got to be kidding me.
No, I'm serious.
Wait, so this is on Facebook?
Yeah, you know how to have those stupid personality quizzes that you can take. I'm like, okay, I'll just take it for the hell of it. And yeah, I got Barack Obama.
Well, it makes sense because if you strongly disagree, you're Barack Obama during his campaign. If you strongly agree, you're Barack Obama now. So it
it does make sense.
Makes perfect sense.
I never even posted it.
Don't accuse Facebook of skewing anything. It just depends on which President Obama you are.
Well, that's true. I guess, see, I never thought about it that way.
Right. Thanks a lot, Gina. I appreciate it. Let me go to Houston. Hi, who's this?
Hi, Glenn. It's Houston. I'm actually up in Sanger, Texas today. But I just want to thank you guys for talking about Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I just read his story, and the parallels with what's in the headlines in the U.S. today from what was going on in the Weimar Republic in the 30s is nuts, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just everything you look at. They're taking away our First Amendment rights. They're, freedom of speech and freedom of religion is just being attacked like crazy, and our money is being turned into toilet paper.
Yep.
It's insane, But I kind of channeled my inner Glenn while I was reading it because I did a lot of crying, man. I tell you that. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. Have you finished it yet?
I did. I finished it. Actually, I finished it Friday, and I preached yesterday in Abbott, Texas, and an awful lot of it made its way into my sermon.
I tell you, he is the best. Go back now that you've read the book. Go back and read Bonhoeffer's letters from prison. In particular, read the sermon on marriage. He wrote it while he was in prison, and it is one of the best pieces on marriage I've ever read. And so hopeful. And when you read it, now that you know his story, when you read it, and he is saying, no one can take joy away from you. Nobody can take away happiness. It means so much more that he's writing this in prison. But it's truly remarkable. It's it's actually what I gave my daughter and her new husband on their wedding day. I hand wrote out his sermon on marriage because it's truly remarkably beautiful. Thank you so much, Houston. Appreciate it. And great name.
Bye-bye.
And it's appropriate that you live in Texas. But I don't know if you want to be in Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
If your last name was Austin, that would be cool. Or last name Texas. I have Houston, Texas, Houston, Texas. That's just the way we roll in Texas. Just like to mix things up just a bit. Back in just a second.
The Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network. What you're about to hear is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
I tell you, I want you to know that the audio I'm about to play for you is exactly what a reptilian alien would say.
No question.
If they were the prime minister of New Zealand.
We got to do something about these shape-shifting reptilian aliens.
There's a bad rumor going on, and I hate to even classify it as a rumor, because when you listen,
demeans it.
It demeans. Well,
it demeans
somewhat,
a little bit.
Sorry, something in my throat there. But shape-shifting reptilian aliens, of course, are sweeping the planet and taking over many of our politicians. And quite honestly, it makes a little more sense than what we thought was happening, that we've just been taken over by progressives. I'm like, you know what? Shape-shifting reptilian aliens.
That makes more sense.
Makes more sense. Okay, I got it. Okay. But New Zealand, the prime minister has taken what some would say is the unusual step to actually address his reptilian status. This is the actual prime minister from New Zealand.
Taking unusual steps to see not only a doctor but a vet, and both have confirmed that, no, I'm not a reptile. I'm certainly not an alien. I've never been in a spaceship. I don't have a little green suit. And I've never been to outer space.
So he says, if you missed it because he's got that heavy accent, he's taken the unusual steps of visiting both a doctor and a vet. He's not a reptile.
He said both of them have confirmed I am not a reptile. So I'm certainly not a reptile. I've never been in a spaceship, never been in outer space, and my tongue is not overly long either.
It's awesome.
All right, so one down.
One down.
The
We've
president,
had Barack Obama. Has he spoken out on this?
No, he hasn't.
No, he has
and
not.
And Donald Rumsfeld also, extraterrestrial, shape-shifting reptilian person guy thing.
Both Barack Obama and Donald Rumsfeld have been publicly accused of it. And have either one of them denied it? Have either one of them been to a vet? No.
And notice he goes to a regular doctor.
Right.
He goes to a vet.
Yes.
But does he go to a herpetologist? No.
No, because that's it. You wouldn't go to a vet. You'd go to a specialist.
Yeah, a specialist on reptiles. You should go to a specialist on reptiles to point that out, and he doesn't even do
dummy.
that.
What a dummy.
Well, no, that's the press. That's the press. Once
you know what
again,
this is?
Dropping the ball.
This is Barack Obama presenting that fake birth certificate.
Exactly. That's exactly
That's
right.
what this is.
Yeah. I'm not a reptile. Oh, yeah. And the president has
a herpetologist.
And the president has a real birth certificate. Right. We get it.
What have we come to when world leaders are actually addressing whether they're shape-shifting reptilian aliens? That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Okay, so let me go to John Carl, cut 572. Ted Cruz is pretty hated, and the press wants you to know that. And the question is, will you be able to win without? This is Rand Paul's argument. Rand Paul said to me, you're not going to be able to win if you don't have some of the establishment, and so you got to have some of the establishment, which explains what Rand Paul is doing.
Does he really believe he'll have some of the establishment? Because
it's the John McCain story.
Yeah, they'll turn on him so hard his head will snap off. That's how hard they'll turn on him.
Is he a reptile too? Will he be able to grow his head back?
Has he been to a herpetologist? I don't know.
I don't know. So here is John Carl on Ted Cruz.
And Ted Cruz does this thing. I mean, look, the Republicans in the Senate had this all set. This was going to be able to pass with only Democratic votes. He stands up, says, I'm going to filibuster. Suddenly they need 60 votes. I'll tell you, Ted Cruz is so hated among his Republicans now, more so than even during the shutdown, that at that Tuesday lunch they have every Tuesday, he's going to need a food taster. I mean, he gave tough votes for these guys to take.
He does have a high tolerance for personal pain.
Yeah, he does. He does have a high tolerance for personal pain.
Yeah, and that seems strange, doesn't it? I mean, look at they're making this into a bad thing.
Yeah, they are.
He has a high tolerance for personal, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, the question is, can you win in a straight up Rand Paul, Ted Cruz had to elect today? I'm not talking about you. Which one has the best shot of winning? Stu, go. In 10,000 words or more.
Or more? So my minimum I can use is 10,000 words to describe this?
Yes.
I was just going to say a name.
I'm counting.
Oh, God.
That would only be 2 words.
Well, I know. Do the ums count?
No.
I have no time to prepare this at all.
Yeah.
Which
one do you think?
Who would win? Or who's the best? Who's the best chance of winning?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think right now.
General election. They're both against Hillary Clinton, and it's a Hillary Clinton, which isn't going to happen. Rand Paul.
You have news on the Hillary Clinton not going to happen front?
I've already got news. I've got so much news on that. It makes me. I had to vomit most of it out, and I still have some of it in me.
God, that's a lot of information.
Yeah, she's not gonna.
I think when it comes down to a general election, there's a chance that they can really they will attempt to paint libertarianism as completely insane.
Yep.
So I think I'll go Ted Cruz, because I think Cruz is, while both of them I think have a really good chance of winning, by the way.
Good answer.
But I think that Cruz is a little bit
not
more
who you want to win, Pat.
I know.
Both. I think they're both great. I'd be happy with both of them, I think. But it's with Cruz, I think he's a little bit closer to what maybe. I don't know. I mean, but there's an argument, as Glenn's been making the argument, where Rand Paul is a little bit further away, and maybe that's, I don't know.
I know. I've been making the argument that in 3 years, this country is going to be so far away from these parties that the guy who is not a GOP guy, and here's what's interesting. Rand Paul is actually positioning himself within the party as more of a GOP guy.
Yes, he is.
Within the party.
Yes, he is.
But he has this view because of his dad, and because also I think it's because of who he is, as a libertarian, where you have Ted Cruz actually positioning himself against the GOP, but he is viewed as the establishment or closer to the establishment GOP. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's true.
You look at him, and he's white shirt, red tie, blue suit, kind of, he seems like the GOP guy compared to, if you put him side by side, compared to Rand Paul. But Rand Paul is behaving more like a GOP guy than Ted Cruz is.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. Yeah,
it's fascinating.
It's a tough, I mean, of course, whichever one we choose will be the wrong choice, and Hillary Clinton will win. Or whoever is going to replace Hillary Clinton, because that's what we do.
She's not going to run.
But
she's I don't know. I don't. She's very ill. I think she's very ill.
Yeah. Well, there has been rumor about that, I guess.
There has been. Good.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to stick with that reason. Then she's very ill.
I think there's an interesting thing of how they would attack Rand Paul. Because they would attack Ted Cruz and make him into the typical religious extremist, and he hates women. And with Rand Paul, some of those things wouldn't apply, but there'd be new fancy things like, hey, you said you wouldn't vote for the Civil Rights Act and all this sort of nonsense, even though that's not what he really was saying.
But you have, I think, in 3 years, you may have a better opportunity to explain that. Because that's so far out that people will dismiss, oh, yeah, he's a GOP, he hates women. You know what I mean? Of course, they're going to say that about Rand Paul. Oh, he hates blacks. They're going to say that.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I feel like with Rand Paul, you have a different government philosophy than we've had in either of the two major parties for a long time. Rand Paul is legitimately a libertarian for the most part. And so that's different than what we've had. And he'll be able to talk a game that might connect with some people on war and stuff that I think
he'll
would be successful.
I think he'll connect because he has not played that game. That's not who he is. He's in his father. He'll be able to connect with the universities and the university students in a completely different way.
True. I think he's going to have a tough time with that in the primary. when you have 5 conservatives around him going after him on issues of defense, it's going to be tough for him to get out of that. And he's good, so I think he'll have a chance. But it's a tough argument. You saw what Ron Paul did in that argument.
Wait a minute. Why don't we hear me out here for a second?
Okay.
Let's say the night of the debates, we'll just do like 600 of the 1,200 debates that are going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're supposed to cut down on those, by the way.
Yeah, right. So out of those 600, okay, we scoop up all of the other candidates and lock them like in an ice cream freezer. And I don't know why I was thinking that I'd be near an ice cream freezer. I have no idea why it'd be a Baskin-Robbins. I'm just saying. Okay. I'm just throwing that one out there.
Right.
Okay. We get all the ice cream out of that freezer first, and then we put all of the politicians except like Rand and Ted.
I'm fine with this philosophy. And there's a lot of ice cream that will need to be eaten.
Yeah. So
before it goes bad, obviously.
So all the other, politician political.
Who would you not hear from in that scenario? The others are locked in the ice cream freezer. You got Jeb Bush in there. Who cares? You have Chris Christie in there. I mean, he's just gobbling up the ice cream so fast that...
No, I said we take the ice cream
the ice cream's out of it?
Yeah.
Okay, then he would be pissed.
You don't think I'm going to leave Chris Christie in with some ice cream.
Then he would be pissed.
No, it'd be great, too, because he'd be on the other side of the glass. I want to make sure that the ice cream freezer has a window in it so he can see where the ice cream
is,
and I'm slowly eating it. Somebody like me, I would never do this, but somebody like me would be on the other side of the glass, slowly eating it, almost in an erotic fashion.
Would never torture Chris Christie in that way.
Never.
I mean, that would be cruel.
Never.
And inhuman.
No, just as much. I would never do that just as much as he would, let's say, never close
the
bridges.
roads and bridges.
Yeah. That would be crazy.
No way he would.
And I'd be disappointed if I ever found out somebody in this institution ever did something with ice cream like that.
Boy.
I tell you that.
Man.
Now, I'm on the record now.
Do you guys see Ted Cruz? Because Ted Cruz isn't a libertarian, right? I think of Ted Cruz as sort of like a Reagan-type Republican with balls, where we've had.
I think he's now maybe not.
I think he's more libertarian than that
Reagan
sort of standard
was,
conservatism thing. But like he's got a lot of those policies, and unlike the other people who have been talking the game of Reagan for the past 30, 40 years,
actually believes it.
He actually believes it and will execute it, and that's why the media hates him so much.
Yes,
but I think that I want to hear Ted talk about. The war and what he would do with the military and everything else.
I don't think we've ever asked him. Have we?
No, I don't think we have.
Be interesting.
Yeah, but I want to hear those kinds of things because I'm much more libertarian than I've ever even considered in my life.
Right.
I'm ready to have that all just shut down.
I think the other thing as far as young voters is sort of social issues, which Rand can do a decent job with that. And I don't know that we've seen Ted take on those issues that strong either. He's been dealing with frankly things that have been a lot more important. But when it comes down to election time, remember, Obamacare was passed. And we went through this whole thing where we remake 1/6 of our economy. And it's a policy that's incredibly unpopular. And the election was about the war on women. The media can change these things in such a way that you have to be able to answer the most arcane, idiotic questions about women's reproductive organs without making it into some issue. And we haven't seen really either of them have to deal with that yet. That's going to be a huge point.
I think, the only problem is that at the very beginning, with both of them in, they will split the constitutional vote, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure both of them are thinking to themselves, I hope the other one doesn't run for that reason.
Yeah, I would imagine. And you have like Huckabee. Huckabee will hurt. He wouldn't hurt Rand Paul, but Huckabee would hurt Ted Cruz. And I think Huckabee would be the death of the Republicans. That'd be the last Republican that ever runs.
I'd say he's the last Republican I'd ever vote for, but I wouldn't vote for him.
I wouldn't vote for him either. But he'll be the last Republican that ever runs. You put Mike Huckabee up. That's the last Republican to run.
Oh, it's over.
Yeah,
he's
the most like
over.
He is Theodore Roosevelt.
Because that's what they'll tell us again. They'll tell us both of them. Rand Paul too extreme. Ted Cruz too extreme. We got to go with somebody like Mike Huckabee, who's a solid conservative but not an extremist. Really? Is that what we need? Because that's what we had last time, and the time before.
And Huckabee would be much more susceptible to war on women type stuff than Romney was. Romney was a moderate.
And he would lose, and they would tell us we ran an extremist again.
Yep.
And I don't know how many times we have to go down that road. And you're right. I think it would, at that point, be over. It's just over.
You know what? You're so right about running an extremist, too, because that's really kind of what they said with Romney. And Romney was as far away from an extremist as you could possibly get.
Nobody more moderate than Mitt Romney. And as soon as it was over, they were all saying, well, you ran a guy who was so far right, you didn't have a chance. What? What are you talking about?
During the campaign, they were saying the same thing about John McCain.
Yeah.
John freaking McCain.
Yeah.
He agrees with the Republican Party on like 1% of issues, and he was too conservative.
That is why I would like you to sing a song of praise, because I can tell you, and we're not going to be the only ones, but I can tell you the Blaze is going to go through enormous growth in the next 2 years. Enormous growth. And I think we won't be alone in this, but I think we will be able to really impact culture and what's going on in the country. There will be people that will have a different point of view, and it won't be just the Blaze, but there will be people that will say this is bullcrap, and you're not going to have. I mean, everybody keeps saying, well, if we don't win the Hispanics, or if we don't win this, or we don't win, how about winning the truth? Winning the truth, because there's an outside force coming that both of these parties don't want to even begin to look at. And that outside force is the truth. They can't hide anymore. And think about how far technology has come since 2008. Think about all of the news sources and the video clips and how fast. Remember in 2008? We'd have to go search for clips. We'd have to go find clips in 2007, go find these things and really search for them. Now, somebody says something anywhere in the world, and I can guarantee you it's up on, unless they say it in the White House, where they're controlling the press, somebody has a copy of it, and it's up within minutes. Within minutes, you can see whatever it is. That's new, and that's not going away. And so I really believe that the press is going to lose, they already have, but even more so, its grip on what is true and what is not. The secret is, can you get into culture at the same time and make sure that people know you're not an extremist. You're just like everybody else. You're not an extremist. They want to make people like you into an extremist. Well, they only can because we're flyover people. We're invisible. Nobody's on The View that's like you. Well, one, but then they mock them relentlessly.
Let me tell you something, Glenn.
888-727-BECK.
Get off my phone!
The Blaze Radio Network.
You know what's surprising is the fact that we have George Soros' ex-girlfriend on TV tonight.
How did we get her? I mean,
it wasn't easy,
hard, right?
It wasn't easy, but we have because George Soros, he hit George Soros last week.
Punched him in the head.
3 times, and so we have her